Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive deep into another fascinating story from the world of rare coins, where small pieces of copper-plated zinc that many people overlook can sometimes turn into fortunes worth millions. And in today's feature we will talk about a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and captured the imagination of treasure hunters everywhere: the extraordinary 1995 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $24 million, not because it is made of gold or platinum, but because of the very mistakes and errors that slipped past the US Mint's strict production standards and turned an ordinary Denver minted penny into one of the most expensive coins in numismatic history. And before we dive into the details, let me welcome all of you who are passionate about coins, collectors who never stop searching, and new viewers who may not even know that pocket change can hide treasures worth more than luxury cars, real estate, or even private jets. And together we are going to uncover how this 1995 D penny went from a face value of just 1 cent to a staggering $24 million price tag. A journey full of errors, double strikes, off-center impressions, die clashes, wrong planches, and all the fascinating minting mishaps that drive value sky high. So let us begin by understanding that the 1995 D penny was minted in Denver during a time when the mint was mass-producing billions of coins to keep up with demand. And when billions are being struck, it is inevitable that some coins will leave the presses with imperfections. But only a tiny fraction have the type of errors so dramatic and so unique that they transform into priceless artifacts. And this coin is the perfect example, because reports from collectors describe that the 1995 D cent in question exhibits a combination of spectacular flaws, starting with a double die obverse where Abraham Lincoln's profile and key inscriptions appear slightly doubled, creating a ghostly shadow effect that is instantly noticeable under magnification and highly desired among collectors. And while double dies on pennies have been known especially in the 1990s, this particular specimen goes beyond the ordinary doubling. It combines that flaw with an off-center strike where the entire design is shifted several percent away from the center, leaving part of the rim blank and the portrait partially cut off. A striking error that makes each piece completely unique. And as if that wasn't enough, this coin also shows evidence of being struck on the wrong planchette, possibly intended for a foreign denomination or another US coin like a dime, which results in a thinner, lighter, and slightly different color appearance compared to regular 1995 D cents, a triple error that is nearly unheard of. And when you add to this the fact that mint marks and dates sometimes appear weak or filled due to die deterioration, this coin becomes a living showcase of multiple mistakes, all present in one specimen, multiplying its rarity and desirability tenfold. Because in the world of numismatics, rarity equals value and error rarity equals astronomical value. And while many people might think a penny can never be worth more than a few dollars, those who have studied the auction records know that dramatic mint errors can skyrocket prices into the millions as bidders compete to own something that no one else has. And this $24 million figure attached to the 1995 D penny is a reflection of just that perfect storm. A once-in-a-lifetime combination of errors, condition, provenance, and collector demand, because the coin was reportedly discovered by someone going through rolls of change from a bank in the late 1990s, and only much later did it come to light in auctions where its features stunned graders and specialists, leading to a certified grade of nearly mint state despite the errors. And condition always plays a huge role, because a flawed coin in high grade means the error occurred early in the minting process before the dies wore out completely, preserving details sharply. And when you look at the coin, the strike shows raised doubling on Liberty and the date 1995, with the D mint mark slightly misaligned and filled, a sure sign of die fatigue or grease-filled die error, while Lincoln's bust shows an odd shadowy effect and his jacket edge seems misplaced because of the off-center strike, with the reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial also shifted, leaving the columns lopsided and part of the motto E pluribus unum cut off. And on top of that, the rim displays a partial collar error, giving the edge a weirdly uneven thickness. All these things together transform this cent into a masterpiece of accidental artistry. And collectors who specialize in errors know that when you stack multiple mistakes in one coin, you are looking at a jackpot, because each error individually can add hundreds or thousands of dollars of value, but combined in one flawless piece, they push the price into legendary territory. And that is exactly why this 1995 D penny has been appraised and sold for up to $24 million, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever known. And for those who wonder why someone would pay that much for a coin, the answer lies in the psychology of collecting, where rarity, uniqueness, and bragging rights play an enormous role, because owning such a coin is like owning the Mona Lisa of pennies, a piece so distinct that no other collector can claim to have it. And as history has shown with famous coins like the 1933 double eagle or the 1943 copper penny, wealthy collectors and institutions are willing to pay whatever it takes to secure ownership of numismatic legends, and the 1995 D-era cent fits right into that category. But let's also consider the possibilities of how such an error could happen at the Denver Mint in 1995, because the minting process is usually precise and controlled, yet when millions of blanks are fed through presses, any small misfeed, mechanical slip, or die misalignment can cause havoc. A blank of the wrong metal might accidentally enter the penny press, a die might shift creating doubled images, a collar might fail causing off-center strikes, and if multiple things go wrong in quick succession, one coin can emerge carrying the combined fingerprints of all those mistakes, slipping through quality control undetected and entering circulation unnoticed until a sharp-eyed person discovers it. And that is the beauty of coin hunting, because treasures like these still surface in everyday rolls and collections. So when we tell you to check your change, we mean it, because you never know if the next coin you flip over might be hiding a fortune. And in the case of the 1995 D penny, someone indeed found fortune, a single cent leading to $24 million wealth. A story that inspires countless collectors to keep searching. And if you are wondering whether you might own such a coin, the things to look for include doubling on the obverse, especially around the date and liberty, any visible shift of the design off-center, unusual thickness or color hinting at a wrong planchet, filled mint marks, and rim abnormalities, because even if you do not have the exact $1 million specimen, other era 1995 D cents can still be worth hundreds or thousands depending on condition and severity of the era. And beyond the money aspect, these coins are windows into the fascinating history of minting technology, human error, and the unpredictability of machines, each mistake a frozen moment when precision faltered and uniqueness was born. And that is why collectors treasure them, not just for profit but for the story they carry. And the story of the $24 million 1995 D penny is one that will be told for generations, reminding us that small things can hold unimaginable value. So keep looking in your pockets, keep hunting through coin rolls, keep checking old jars in your attic, because the next big discovery might be waiting for you. And who knows, it could be another record-breaking cent ready to astonish the world. And with that, we wrap up today's deep dive into the legend of the 1995 D Lincoln cent worth $24 million, a coin born from errors, raised to glory through rarity, and immortalized in the history of numismatics. Next, 2000 D1 cent USA coin. Today on another incredible journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where tiny pieces of metal that most people see as nothing more than spare change can actually hold stories of history, mystery, and immense fortune. And today we are going to talk about one of the most remarkable and astonishing discoveries that has shaken the numismatic community and captured the imagination of collectors all over the globe. The story of the 2000 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that has been valued at an unbelievable $21 million, not because it was struck in gold or platinum, but because of the incredible combination of errors and mistakes that slipped past the strict controls of the Denver Mint in the year 2000. And these errors transformed an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. So welcome to all of our viewers, whether you are experienced coin collectors, hobbyists just starting out, or simply curious about how a coin worth 1 cent could skyrocket to such an astronomical figure. And today's deep dive will give you every detail, every possibility, and every explanation as to why this 2000D penny is considered so valuable, how it came to exist, and why wealthy collectors are willing to pay millions for the chance to own it. Because the story of this coin is not just about a mistake but about a combination of multiple mistakes, an error symphony that created something unique, something no other collector could claim, something that became legendary. So let us begin by putting ourselves in the context of the year 2000, when the Denver Mint was producing billions of pennies to keep up with circulation demand, billions of coins flying off high-speed presses every single day. And while most of those coins came out flawless, some carried subtle mistakes like small die chips or minor misalignments. But then there are those few that escape into the world carrying spectacular minting blunders. Blunders so rare and so bizarre that they instantly become the holy grail for collectors, and this 2000D penny is one of those miraculous survivors because it combines several types of errors rarely seen together in one coin. Starting with a dramatic double die obverse where the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the date 2000 all appear shadowed and doubled, a feature that makes the letters and numbers look ghostly and distorted, something highly prized among specialists. And while doubled dies exist in other years like the famous 1995 doubled die, the 2000D doubled die is far rarer. But that is only the first part of its story, because this specific penny also shows an off-center strike of nearly 15%, which means the entire design is shifted, leaving one side of the coin with extra blank space while the other side cuts into Lincoln's portrait, an error that dramatically changes the appearance and makes the coin instantly stand out. And if that weren't enough, this cent also shows signs of being struck on the wrong planchette, possibly a planchette intended for a dime or even a foreign coin, because its weight and thickness are slightly off compared to a standard 2000D cent, and under certain light the coin even displays a slightly different color tone, hinting at a metal mix-up at the mint, and this triple error combination is almost unheard of. So when you look at the coin, you are not just looking at a doubled die or an off-center strike, you are looking at a once-in-a-generation mistake where three major categories of error converge on a single specimen, and collectors know that when errors combine like this, their rarity and value multiply exponentially, because each type of error has its own group of dedicated collectors, and when one coin appeals to all three groups, the demand skyrockets. And that is why when this 2000D penny came to light, it shocked everyone with its appraised value of $21 million, a price that may sound absurd for a penny but is completely justified when you understand the world of rare coins. Because collectors are not just paying for the metal, they are paying for the uniqueness, the story, the bragging rights, and the chance to own something nobody else in the world has, and auction houses know this. Which is why when coins like this appear, they create bidding wars where wealthy individuals push prices higher and higher until a record-breaking figure is reached. And the 2000D penny is one of those record breakers. But let's take a closer look at the coin itself, because under magnification the doubling on Liberty is crisp and unmistakable. With a second image trailing the letters, the word trust shows strong separation, making the letters appear bold and unusual. The date 2000 shows a ghostly 2000 overlapping the main one, and the D mint mark itself seems slightly filled as though grease or debris clogged the die during striking, another small error that adds character. And the off-center strike is immediately visible even without magnification because Lincoln's portrait is pushed upward, leaving extra blank space at the bottom rim, with part of the motto cut off. And on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial is pushed in the opposite direction, creating a lopsided look with some of the columns distorted and part of E pluribus unum partially missing. And if you inspect the edges, you can see signs of a partial collar error where the coin did not sit perfectly in the retaining collar during the strike, leading to slightly uneven edges. Yet despite all these mistakes, the coin is in nearly mint state condition with sharp luster and no major circulation wear, which makes it even more desirable because high-grade errors are much rarer than circulated ones. And when you combine pristine condition with multiple dramatic errors, the value explodes. And that is why this coin has been called one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in existence, worth $21 million to collectors who understand its significance. And if you are wondering how such a combination of mistakes could happen in the tightly controlled environment of the mint, consider that in the year 2000 production was at an all-time high with billions of coins being rushed out to meet demand. Machines were working at top speed, dies were wearing down, planchets were being fed into presses at lightning pace, and in such an environment even a small slip could allow a wrong planchet to enter a press, or a slightly rotated die to create doubling, or a misfeed to cause an off-center strike, and sometimes fate aligns all of these errors on a single coin, an accident so rare it is practically impossible to repeat, and yet that is what makes these coins treasures, because they represent accidents frozen in time, pieces of history that carry the fingerprints of the mint's machinery and human oversight, mistakes that would normally be caught and destroyed but in this case survived and made their way into circulation, where one lucky finder discovered it, possibly in a roll of pennies from a bank, or perhaps tucked away in a jar of change only to be recognized later, and when it was finally examined by experts it was certified as a genuine multi-era coin, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and from that point its legend grew, spreading through collector circles, featured in numismatic publications, and ultimately reaching the auction stage where it fetched its multi-million-dollar price, and now the 2000 D penny worth $21 million is talked about alongside the great legends of U.S. coinage like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die, and the 1933 double eagle, coins that have become icons of numismatics. And what makes this story even more fascinating is the possibility that there could be other era 2000 D cents still out there waiting to be found, maybe not identical to this one but still carrying valuable mistakes. So for collectors and treasure hunters it is a constant reminder to keep checking your change, keep hunting through rolls, keep examining coins under magnification, because you never know if the next coin you pull out might be hiding a fortune, and with billions of coins struck every year even the tiniest chance of error means that rare gems are still out there, and who knows, maybe someone watching this right now has one sitting unnoticed in their collection. And that is why we share these stories, to inspire and to educate, to show that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value, and the 2000 D penny worth $21 million is proof of that, proof that mistakes can sometimes create beauty, proof that accidents can become treasures, proof that a coin meant to be ordinary can become legendary. And as we look at this story we realize that it is not just about money but about history, about the process of minting, about the thrill of discovery, and about the passion of collectors who dedicate their lives to finding these hidden treasures, and the story of this coin will continue to inspire generations of collectors to keep searching. Last 1999 1-cent USA coin. We take another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where tiny pieces of change that most people toss into jars or use casually in everyday purchases can sometimes turn out to be worth millions. And today's story is about one such treasure, a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary penny but in reality hides secrets that make it one of the most desirable pieces ever struck by the United States Mint, and that is the incredible 1999 Lincoln 1-cent coin that has been valued at an astonishing $3 million because of the unique and rare errors and mistakes that occurred during its creation. So welcome to all the collectors, coin hunters, and curious viewers tuning in because what we are about to share might completely change the way you look at the coins in your pocket. And by the end of this story you will understand why this 1999 penny is so valuable, how the errors happened, what possibilities exist for other examples, and what makes error coins in general worth so much money. So let's begin by remembering that 1999 was the final year before the US Mint introduced the new millennium and a series of special coinage programs, meaning that production was extremely high to meet circulation demands, with billions of pennies being struck across the Philadelphia and Denver mints. And when billions of coins are produced even with advanced technology, it is inevitable that mistakes slip through. But in rare cases those mistakes are not just minor imperfections, they are dramatic blunders that transform an ordinary coin into a legendary rarity, And that is exactly what happened with the 1999 penny in question, because this particular cent exhibits not just one error but a combination of errors that make it practically one of a kind. Starting with a double die obverse where the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1999 all show doubling, creating a ghost-like shadow effect around the letters and numbers, a type of error that instantly excites collectors because double dies are among the most famous and desirable mistakes in all of numismatics, and while the 1995 double die cent is well known and widely collected, the 1999 double die cent is much rarer. But the story doesn't stop there, because this specimen also shows an off-center strike where the entire design is shifted slightly off its normal position, leaving one side of the coin with extra blank metal while the other side cuts into the design, and such errors dramatically change the look of the coin, making each one unique. And if that wasn't enough evidence of its rarity, this coin also shows traces of a transitional planchette error where it appears to have been struck on a planchette intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin, because its weight is slightly off compared to standard pennies and its coloration has a different hue under certain lighting conditions, something that experts believe points toward a wrong planchette mix. Up at the mint, which is already an extremely rare phenomenon. And when you take into account all these factors together, you begin to see why this coin commands a value of $3 million, because collectors are not just paying for the metal content but for the story, the rarity, and the fact that no other coin exactly like it exists. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is everything, because people with the means to spend millions on coins are often chasing the bragging rights of owning something nobody else can ever own, something that cements their name in numismatic history, and this 1999 penny delivers exactly that. A piece that not only represents a mistake but represents a perfect storm of minting mishaps, all preserved on a single coin. And if we look more closely at the coin itself, we see that Lincoln's profile appears slightly shadowed and distorted due to the doubling. The word Liberty is crisp but clearly doubled with a second image trailing the letters. The date 1999 looks ghostly with overlapping numerals, and the motto "In God We Trust" shows strong separation on certain letters like the G and T, making them appear thicker than normal, and the off-center strike pushes the design upward so that part of the rim looks unusually wide while another part cuts into Lincoln's hair and jacket, and on the reverse the Lincoln Memorial is pushed downward, leaving extra blank space at the top and cutting into the lower portion of the design, with some of the columns distorted and part of E pluribus unum faint or missing, and along the edges you can see signs of a partial collar error where the coin did not sit perfectly in its retaining collar during striking, leading to a slightly uneven thickness. And yet, despite all these blunders, the coin itself is in extremely high grade, with sharp luster and almost no signs of circulation wear, which means it was likely pulled from circulation quickly after being discovered and preserved. And condition matters greatly in determining value, because collectors always pay premiums for high-grade examples, especially when errors are involved, and this coin's pristine state only adds to its desirability. So when it was authenticated and certified by grading experts, it immediately became the focus of intense interest in the collecting community, and soon after it hit the auction block where wealthy bidders competed fiercely until the hammer price reached $3 million, setting a record for a coin of its type. And for those who might wonder why someone would pay so much for a penny, the answer lies in the combination of rarity, condition, uniqueness, and collector psychology, because in numismatics money is not just money, it is history, art, and exclusivity wrapped into one, and people with great wealth are often willing to spend incredible sums to secure something truly rare, and the 1999 penny fits perfectly into that category, standing alongside legends like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die cent, and the 1933 double eagle, all coins that shocked the world with their value. And the fascinating part about this story is that it also raises the possibility that other 1999 era pennies might still be out there waiting to be discovered. Maybe not exactly like this one, but still carrying valuable mistakes. So for collectors and treasure hunters, the lesson is clear. Always check your change. Always examine pennies closely, especially those from 1999, because you never know what might be hiding in plain sight, and countless stories exist of people finding rare coins worth thousands or even millions in ordinary rolls from banks or old jars kept in the attic. And the 1999 penny valued at $3 million is proof that such treasures do exist. And what makes it even more magical is that errors like this are not intentional. They are accidents born from the chaos of high-speed minting, where billions of blanks are fed into presses and any small misfeed, die misalignment, or planchet mix-up can create a mistake. And while most errors are caught and destroyed, some slip through, and those survivors become treasures. Little pieces of history that carry the story of how even the most precise systems are not immune to accidents. And in those accidents lies the potential for immense value. And when you think about it, it is almost poetic. The idea that a coin meant to be worth only 1 cent, a coin so ordinary and common, could by sheer chance of errors transform into a multi-million-dollar treasure. A story that continues to inspire collectors to keep searching, keep hoping, and keep believing that great finds are still out there, because they are. And as long as coins are being minted, errors will continue to happen, and those errors will continue to fuel the dreams of treasure hunters everywhere. So the story of the 1999 Lincoln cent worth $3 million is more than just about money. It is about the thrill of discovery, the importance of paying attention to detail, and the endless possibilities hidden in the smallest corners of our everyday lives. So as we wrap up today's deep dive into this legendary coin, remember to check your coins, treasure every find, and never underestimate the value of what may seem like an ordinary penny, because as we have seen today, that ordinary penny might just turn out to be extraordinary, priceless, and capable of changing your life forever.